Day number 7 started out pretty early as we woke up in Grand Junction, Colorado, and got some breakfast and then merged onto I-70 and began heading west. We drove about 500 miles on this day as we drove from Grand Junction, Colorado, out to Las Vegas, Nevada. We didn't really stop too much to see a lot of the things on this particular trip because we had to be in Las Vegas at a certain time because, unfortunately, during this trip, I was experiencing a lot of computer issues from a brand new computer that I had just purchased back in August, and I was unable to transfer a lot of the video content that I was recording on this trip, and my memory cards were getting pretty full at this point. Funny enough, I had just purchased this computer, like I said, back in August there in Las Vegas when I was on another trip when I was having some computer issues from an older computer that I was using at the time. And I brought both of these computers along with me for this trip, and they just so happened to not be doing the things that I needed them to do when I get to my hotel at the night where I need to transfer all of the content that I record for the day and put it on my computer and then put it on an external hard drive. So that was really frustrating. So we definitely had to drive 8 hours to Las Vegas to go to Best Buy where I purchased the computer to make sure we got there before the Best Buy closed for the day. So we were definitely on a time crunch, which was really unfortunate, but we did see a lot of the amazing scenery that there is to see here along I-70 through most of Utah and of course the western part of Colorado here as well. Services become pretty limited there on I-70 once you get west of Grand Junction and specifically Fruita there in Colorado, and the traffic counts really drop off as well, so just be sure you have enough supplies and services and gas when you start heading west along I-70 from the Grand Junction area. Within 30 minutes of leaving Grand Junction, my grandpa and I were saying goodbye to Colorado for the last time on this trip, and we were entering the Beehive State, Utah. And what an awesome welcome sign that is there along I-70 as you enter Utah from Colorado. It is hands down my favorite welcome sign in the entire United States. My grandpa and I drove for about an hour there along I-70 in Utah until we came up to this rest area here just outside of Green River where we stopped and had a bathroom break, and then we also enjoyed looking at the Utah welcome sign that they had on display here. All right, good morning, everybody. It is day 7 on my grandpa and I's road trip here in the Southwest. So we just left Colorado this morning and we're passing through Utah on our way to Las Vegas today. We won't be really stopping for that much, but we will be stopping at some scenic pullouts in Utah on I-70 because there's plenty of scenic pullouts on Utah on I-70 because it's very beautiful out here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty desolate, but it is still beautiful.
Yes, I-70 in Utah is one of the most desolate stretches of interstate in the U.S. In fact, it has the longest stretch without services between Green River and Salina at over 100 miles.
Yeah, so, yeah, it is. It's desolate but beautiful, like I said.
Yep, I'm sad that we're basically heading home these last 2 days, but, you know, the trip's not over yet, and there's still some stuff to see, so.
Yeah, there is. Welcome to Utah, the Beehive State.
So this right here is hands down my favorite welcome sign in the entire country. I think it is beautifully designed and it just really captures what Utah is all about right here in this sign.
Yeah, I agree. This is a picture of the Arches right here, I believe.
Yep, right nearby Arches National Park, which is not too far away from us.
Yeah.
But yes, this is much better than a welcome sign that we saw just about 30 minutes ago, but you know, like I said, this is my favorite one in the entire country, and I don't think it gets much better than this.
No, I agree.
After leaving behind the rest area, my grandpa and I continued west along Interstate 70 through the Colorado Plateau, and we eventually reached the San Rafael Reef, which is part of the greater San Rafael Swell, and this is hands down the most scenic stretch of Interstate 70 in Utah. I-70 in Utah and Colorado is an amazing drive overall, but it's just stretches like this that really just add to the amazing beauty of this drive. You will not find a single bad mile of scenery on I-70 west of Denver, Colorado, all the way to its end at I-15 in the middle of nowhere in Utah. My grandpa and I decided to stop at many of the scenic pullouts here along I-70 in the San Rafael Swell, and let me tell you, we were definitely not disappointed, and it's not hard to see why this is one of the engineering marvels of the interstate highway system. Hands down, the most scenic stretch of I-70 through the San Rafael Swell is the section that passes through Spotted Wolf Canyon here in the San Rafael Reef. The San Rafael Reef forms the steep eastern edge of the San Rafael Swell anticline. The San Rafael Reef is made up of Navajo sandstone that reaches heights of over 200 feet in height. The San Rafael Reef is also comprised of shale and limestone that was pushed up during the Paleocene period roughly 40 to 60 million years ago. Since that time, infrequent but powerful flash floods have eroded the sedimentary rocks into numerous valleys, canyons, gorges, mesas, buttes, and badlands. All right, so my grandpa and I are here in Spotted Wolf Canyon, here along I-70 in Utah and the San Rafael Swell. And what a view this is right here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is quite a view here. It's amazing how they were able to build that interstate right through that area down there.
Yep, this is one of the engineering accomplishments of the interstate highway system. The canyon was so narrow down there that they could literally touch both canyon walls with both hands when they were constructing this interstate.
Yeah, it was quite a feat. They moved a lot of rock and dirt to get through here.
The construction of I-70 through the San Rafael Reef is one of legend. Here at Spotted Wolf Canyon, workers could stand and touch both walls of the canyon before construction began in 1967. Engineers and surveyors used body harnesses and ropes to work as high as 400 feet above the canyon floor, and the crews excavated 3.5 million cubic yards of rock from the area at the cost of $4.5 million for 8 miles of road. On November 5, 1970, the Utah Department of Transportation opened the 70-mile section from Fremont Junction to Green River for 2-lane traffic, and then 2 more lanes were added to the interstate during the mid-1980s, and that is how the interstate has looked ever since. Another amazing thing about the construction of Interstate 70 across the San Rafael Swell is that it was the largest single opening of an interstate segment at one time on the interstate highway system, and it also opened on a completely brand new alignment where no previous roads had previously went across the landscape. So this was really cool, and it's such an amazing story when it comes to the construction of I-70 through Utah. And I-70 just west of Denver in general is just an amazing engineering accomplishment here on our nation's interstate highway system. All right, so my grandpa and I are now here at the bottom of the San Rafael Reef here on the east side, looking back west. This is totally a different perspective than where we were up there at the top of Spotted Wolf Canyon here.
Yeah, it is. It's even the colors are different down here. It's more on the brownish side than on the reddish side. I don't know why, but it just is.
This area is just really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This is a really neat area right here. I guess back in the day there was a lot of uranium mining going on here in this area.
Yep. Utah's an amazing state, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Very diverse state.
The scenery definitely changes quite a bit here as you continue your journey west along Interstate 70 and you climb up in elevation here in the San Rafael Swell. Canyons, buttes, mesas really start to take over the scenery here as you get off of all these scenic pullouts here along I-70. A lot of the construction crews, when they were building I-70 through this area during the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, believed that this area should be turned into a national park because of its very unique geography and amazing beauty. However, the National Park Service didn't like the idea of an interstate cutting through a National Park Service area, so the idea was eventually thrown out. All right, so what do you think of this view right here?
Yeah, this just gives you another perspective of this area through the canyon here, whatever this is here, and all the colors up there on that ridge over there. So it's pretty cool.
Yep. It's amazing that when they were constructing this area, they thought it could be potentially turned into a national park because of how beautiful and remote it is.
Yeah, obviously it never happened.
But yeah. Sometimes remoteness is beautiful, and this is a very good example of it.
Yeah, this is a beautiful area right here.
Because we're on that stretch of I-70 that is over 100 miles without services, which is the longest stretch on the interstate highway system.
Yeah, it's true. This is a very unique area here, too. It's not, you don't see this anywhere else.
Nope.
Yeah, it's gorgeous here.
After spending some time there at the San Rafael Reef, we continued west along Interstate 70 and eventually ended up at the Ghost Rock view area here along I-70 in the San Rafael Swell. This was the last scenic pullout that we stopped at here along our journey on I-70 in Utah. I really like the information plaques that they have at these various scenic pullouts here along I-70 in Utah that just gives a really deep history lesson of this area before like a lot of people started coming out this way. This area back in the day really was no man's land, and this was actually one of the last areas of the United States to be mapped. You can just see how the difficult terrain out here would made it very impossible for people to travel out here before the 20th century. But man, the scenery out here is just absolutely amazing. Like, Utah seriously has some of the best scenery in the entire country. I would argue that the Colorado Plateau has the best geography in the entire United States. There's just something special about being out here and just seeing all of these different land formations coming together to form this awesome scenery that we see out here, and that we're fortunate enough to be seen right off a major highway like Interstate 70. Right out in the distance there, you can see Ghost Rock, which is what this viewpoint here along I-70 in Utah is named after. It definitely stands out compared to its surroundings, that is for sure. It's also very important to leave no trace. Unfortunately, some people have vandalized this scenic viewpoint here with some spray paint on the side of the rocks here. It's just really disappointing to see, honestly. As much as I would just love to spend more time here just taking in these amazing views here along I-70 in Utah, we did have to keep going along our journey here on I-70 in Utah, so I tried to keep a perfect balance here of just taking it all in and just capturing some of these awesome shots for you guys to see here. The views just don't stop being awesome here in Utah, do they?
Well, they sure don't. It's another real beautiful area here with this canyon going down through here. There's supposed to be a rock out here called Ghost Rock.
Even though my grandpa and I's time on our road trip here was slowly coming to an end as we kept heading west back towards California, we just really appreciated these scenic pullouts here because it's probably going to be a long time before either of us see something like this again, so we were just taking it all in here. After leaving the Ghost Rock viewing area there along I-70, we just started heading west towards the eventual western end of I-70 without stopping for anything. It should be noted that this is the longest stretch on the interstate highway system without services. The stretch between Green River and Salina is approximately 104 miles without any services, so it's best to make sure that you have a full tank of gas when driving this stretch of I-70 because you never know what could happen. Cell phone service is also pretty limited, but man, it's really hard to be afraid to go out here in the middle of nowhere when you just have amazing scenery on both sides of the interstate here as you just pass through the San Rafael Swell, and then you eventually keep heading west, and then you end up on the Wasatch Plateau there, which basically acts as the transition between the Colorado River drainage basin and then the Great Basin farther west, which stretches all the way to the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. I truly believe that Utah is one of the most diverse states that we have, and it's just really cool to see all these different geographic areas converge in this one area in Utah here, where you have the Colorado Plateau and the Colorado River drainage basin. Then you have the Wasatch Plateau, which transitions you over to the Great Basin of Utah, which dominates the western half of the state, while of course Canyon Country here dominates the eastern half of Utah. Each of it has its perks, but I mean, you really can't just beat this Canyon Country here in the Four Corners region and the Colorado Plateau. And that's not to take anything away from the Great Basin region, which has its own unique geography and perks, but man, I-70 in Utah, you just really get a full course of what the entire state of Utah is all about in just a 231-mile drive. After crossing the amazingly beautiful San Rafael Swell and then ascending the Wasatch Plateau, and then of course descending the Wasatch Plateau through the beautiful Salina Canyon, we eventually ended up in the town of Salina, Utah, which is where all of the services that you can need along I-70 are found there. They have a number of truck stops and traveler services that you would need after the long journey across the desolate areas of Utah. After stopping there in Salina for some food and gas and just refreshing for the long journey ahead towards Las Vegas, my grandpa and I got back on I-70, and then we passed through the Sevier Valley, which is the most populous region of I-70 in Utah and is home to roughly 20,000 people. So if you need services or anything like that, this is definitely a good place to stop. If you're coming from Colorado or if you're heading out towards Colorado, this is basically your last chances for services for quite a while here along I-70. So be sure to stop here in the Sevier Valley and refresh up and get some gas and get some food if you need it for the long journey ahead. After passing through the severe valley, I-70 then ascends the Pavant Range there as it passes through the Fremont Indian State Park and then crosses the Pavant Range there as it makes its way over to Interstate 15 where it ends there at Cove Fort, Utah. Unfortunately, my camera's memory card got full right about 5 miles from the western terminus of I-70 there in Utah, and I was unable to record I-70 all the way to the end. It was really heartbreaking, but I knew that I was going to run out of memory on my memory card because we weren't able to transfer anything onto our computer here, and I didn't want to delete any footage and risk losing it for this trip. But I was just really happy to eventually get down to Las Vegas and take care of some business there and get some new computers and then just transferring everything over to make sure that I didn't lose any of this footage. So I guess it's better that I saved all of the footage from the previous 3 days than rather like just try to delete some footage and try to capture those last 5 miles there of I-70 in Utah. So I hope you guys understand, and just I'm really sorry about all this, but sometimes things happen and it's not under your control. But I'm just happy that we were able to resolve these issues when we got to Las Vegas later in the day. All right, so my grandpa and I just got done driving I-70 in Utah. What did you think of the entire drive?
I really liked the drive. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful drive through that whole country there.
Yep. And now we're just on our way to Las Vegas for the evening, so we're not really going to be filming too much on our way down there just because we've already pretty much filmed it. And there's not really much to see. Well, there is, but at the same time, we just need to get down there to take care of some business. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.